Hello. Hello, everyone. We're back. Take two. Can you hear us?
Excuse our ghetto rigging.
Hold on. Let's see.
Yeah.
You can hear us.
Okay.
Can't hear?
Yeah.
Wait, go back.
On here.
You can hear us over there?
On the StreamYard, yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about on
Hello.
Perfect. Hello. Hello, everyone. We're back. Take two. All right, we got it. Okay.
Excuse our ghetto rigging.
Hold on.
You lied to say laugh.
Yeah. It's like I'm laughing at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, here. There we are. Okay.
All right, so we're doing the whole thing.
Anyways, take two.
All right.
We'll just have to edit that out or something.
It's all good.
Re-upload. Okay, so technical difficulties, and I'm glad you can hear us, and we didn't go through a whole hour of talking, and you can hear us. So if you can hear us and you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up or text us.
Yeah, I'm going to give my friend Mike Cross a shout out real quick just because he asked
Brother
me to.
Man.
Yeah, Brother Maine.
Maine. Thank you. None of my friends checked. Well, thanks. Okay, so I'm glad I checked though. I was I think it's
Thank
like
God.
silent.
Whoever told Marissa that, and my friend Mike.
Okay.
They can't hear us.
So, it's 11:11. Make a wish. This is awesome. Okay, I love that number. Anyways, so what we were talking about before when we were muted was how the podcast came about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how Chris and I met, and then he'll talk about when the podcast came about. So I was a speaker at San Diego Startup Week this year, 2019, and I spoke on social media, and I was really speaking about mostly LinkedIn for startup founders, and I was connecting with people within the app. So they have an app for the conference itself. It allows you to connect with people and kind of feel out the sessions and stuff beforehand. And Chris was a leader, I guess, on the app. Well, yeah, at one point. No, then someone else took.
I was number one the whole time.
No, that guy took you over.
No, it's because they took me off the app.
Oh, you got banned. We'll have to talk about that. So Chris and I reached out to each other, to connect outside of the app, just to kind of talk business. And then I think he went to one of the networking events, and we were there.
I went to one of your networking events on Meetup.
I'm good at hosting networking events. We'll talk about that. But and then you can talk about how the podcast came about.
So the way that the podcast came about was because I've been wanting to start a podcast for a year or so. And even more so now that I started my business earlier this year called Pixel Lift. And we'll describe that more. We'll talk more about that later. But I posted on my Instagram, hey, what do you guys think about my idea of starting a podcast regarding tech, entrepreneurship, MMA? That's because that's kind of like a gist of who I am and what I do. And Marissa ended up just commenting on it, saying that, something she may be interested in. So then I contacted her about a week later or something, and just pretty much said, do you want to do this or not? And then she pretty much texted back, let's meet up. And then from there, this is maybe almost a month and a half ago, we've been collaborating and discussing the brand, what our mission is for the podcast. And here we are today, our first day launching it. Thanks to Marissa doing a lot of the work on getting this set up, and I appreciate that very much.
Oh, thank you. You've helped with the design stuff too. So we'll talk about the collaboration part and why, that I think is really important to point out, especially when you're starting a project. But I'm happy to be here. I hosted a podcast before last year. It was a lot of work. It was an audio podcast only. There's a lot of post editing and funny call during it. I don't even know. So
hopefully it's not a client.
If it is, it can leave a message. So anyways, I had a podcast last year, and it was really something that I enjoyed. I was having conversations with business owners, really learning kind of opening myself up to like the larger community besides just like what I can touch, face to face. So it was really cool. And I thought maybe, we could, I could utilize some of the stuff that I've done with the podcast in terms of learning how to like chat with people and kind of open up conversations, and my history and my experience doing podcasts, and then also, bringing in a newbie to podcasting.
Popping my cherry today.
This one is like, no. Okay, so we'll get into that. But anyway, so the Business AF podcast, what does that mean? We are obviously, both of us have our own businesses. So I'm going to go into a little bit about my business, and then I'll talk about something that I think that what really brought us together in terms of outside of just our businesses. So my business, I am a social media strategist, and I have a business where I consult startup companies as well as B2B businesses on their marketing strategy that includes social media. So it's not just social media. I know that's the name of my company, but it all basically starts from social media. So, I've been in business for about 4 years now, and I think I've learned a lot doing it on my own, and I realized the power of your network and the worth of it, and realizing that you can't do everything on your own. So I've been doing a lot of business development and personal development this year, and it's really transformed who I am as a business owner, what I want to do in terms of goals for my business. And I'm really right now working with a lot of like educational and informational companies. So if they have products or apps that are really powerful and can make a difference in the community, but they have trouble communicating that message out on social media and on their website and email and all that stuff like that. So that's kind of like the gist of my business. And I've been in business for about 4 years now. So you can talk about your business.
Pixel Lift. Yeah. So interesting story about why I started this business is because so I just moved to San Diego from Las Vegas in March earlier this year, and I didn't really need to find a job right away, and or I probably still don't. That's why I started this business. But
yeah,
and I believed in the business because what happened was I was interviewing at companies for fun. I was kind of almost doing my own research because I wanted to see what the user interface, user experience design
what is for people who don't know, what is user interface and user experience design?
So let's start off with UI UX. So the UI stands for user interface and UX stands for user experience. And what it is they're almost everything that we experience in life, whether if it's opening a door handle or technology. And what my focus in mainly is on designing mobile apps or web development or web apps. And I focus on the user experience, making sure that it's intuitive for the user, that the end user can quickly and efficiently proceed to their tasks without any questions or error, making sure that it's simple enough for them to understand. And the user interface comes in later after the UX process, and just trying to almost just apply the interface, the colors, also the components and elements to the application. Yeah.
So that's the simplest way, but there's obviously a lot of technology and
a lot of research that goes into it, into the user experience side. A lot of user interviewing, A/B testing, which also means for, for example, seeing an old application design and a new application design, and interviewing users that fit that product, and asking pretty much which one is better for them, essentially. And just making sure that we, as user experience designers, are making sure that the end users are enjoying the product, because if there's a lot of great apps out there that are very functional, but by the time it goes to production and then ends up getting released or delivered, the functionality is great, but the user experience is just not there.
Right.
I mean,
It's not intuitive.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and I think that I think in the startup world especially, we're kind of in similar. We're not in the same role in terms of what our specialties are and what our businesses provide as skills, but they're very similar in terms of what we need to provide to these startups. So the startups have like great ideas, like they're new businesses. They want to roll out this really cool product, but they don't do any strategy, or they don't do any like research on like what would work. They just think that like because they have used an app, or they have figured out, okay, like I like this idea, or like I'm just going to use some like templated design and figure out, okay, I'm going to launch this, and then no one uses it, or no one, like they unsubscribe, or they just never sign up for whatever it is. And I think that the same thing happens in like social media. Someone has this really great idea, and then they launch a business and it flops because they didn't do any pre-strategy work. They didn't start building their brand, their message. They're showcasing why someone should care about this business, whether it's an app, an application, if you're attracting certain people. And that is where we found a lot of synergy in terms of our conversations, because we are always thinking bigger picture. Like we have the skill set to build something, but we're thinking, why do you do this? And why are you spending all this money on a product if it doesn't serve the audience properly? And same with the business. Why do you invest X amount of dollars into a business and then you don't realize, okay, this is not going to serve my audience, or I'm going to post on Facebook and like your users are not even on Facebook at all ever. Like they're using Instagram or something.
Trying to find the right target audience for your business or product is key.
And I think that it's difficult to communicate that, like when you meet a startup founder or whatever, like initially, because you have to communicate it in a quick way, but it's hard to like showcase your skill set. And that's why we kind of were talking about launching this podcast and kind of going in the back behind the scenes to showcase what we can do and how we do it, how our brain works. And then also talking to other business owners as well, why they're in business, what are they doing, what makes them interesting, why do we want to work with them, and what passions do they have outside of work, and I think that leads into another part. What we wanted to cover in this podcast was also to cover like some of our passions, because Chris is an MMA fighter and he's actually having a fight next week, and outside of the skill set he has, the business he's running, all the stuff, he does have a passion for MMA. And you can talk a little bit about that side. Tell us about it now. Talk about it.
So I started MMA this year. My background is Muay Thai or kickboxing for people who may not know. And also the difference between Muay Thai and kickboxing is in Muay Thai, you're allowed to kind of hold on to each other and throw more knees and elbows. Where kickboxing, you're just allowed some knees and no elbows. And so that's my background. I was doing that for about 9 years. And my overall goal was to always fight MMA, but I just never got into it. And then finally, December of 2018, I started taking jiu-jitsu, found a great jiu-jitsu coach in Las Vegas. And then when I moved here, found a good gym as well to continue jiu-jitsu, and then also added wrestling to my skill set for MMA. And I fought this past May, lost that one because the guy took me to the ground and just kept me there. And, and I want to stand up and kickbox with him. And so then that just made me even kind of like learn that I really need to do more groundwork. I need to do more stand-up because I'm already pretty well off in the stand-up department where I focus on the ground. And so now I'm here fighting next week.
What makes you want to like do that? And so running a business, and if you're watching this and you are a new new to our podcast, please hit subscribe. We'd love to grow our subscriber list. That we're trying to do this as organic as possible initially because we're working on obviously kinks we had already. But back to the MMA, like, why do you like? I mean, what I'm trying to get at is trying to figure out, like, you're so busy as a business owner. Why do you do other stuff that like also keeps you busy? Like,
so time is short. That's for sure, especially when you add 3 hours. Well, during fight camp, when you add about 3 or more hours a day to just working out, especially as an MMA fighter. And why do I do it? It's because I like the end result. It feels good to win, especially in something that's so challenging, right? It's already like physically challenging, and then overall physical, it's mentally challenging, knowing that you're going to get into a locked cage and you're going to fight someone that's you can potentially really get hurt.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't want to hurt anyone, but it's more so me fighting against myself, and that opponent is just kind of in the way of that, and they're challenging me to overcome a fear or an obstacle in my way.
So it's funny you say like you're challenging yourself, you're fighting yourself, and that's kind of like why we saw that this podcast was something that we needed to do, because we're business owners and we fight ourselves every day. I want to sleep in. Today I didn't get that much sleep.
Yeah.
I wanted to come here late. I actually came here earlier than I planned to because I knew we had a lot of stuff to work out and kind of get some things knocked off. Well, I personally, and I know you probably did too, had to get some stuff knocked off our to-do list in order to be prepared for this. And it's like that, I think, is what it's like a personality trait of us that we just can't like sit still. Like we have to do stuff to help us learn.
And the problem is, like, as a business owner, it's not just 9 to 5 and then you clock out.
Yeah.
Because people work in different schedules. And also, for example, I have some team members in India. So sometimes I'll get off here like around 4, go train, get home, eat real quick, take a shower, and then get on a call from 9 p.m. till maybe midnight sometimes. Get up or go to sleep. Get up around 6 or 7 sometimes, depending on the project, and then start getting on calls again with clients and my team in India.
So it's constant.
Yeah, it's just constant work, but I enjoy it though. Like I'd rather be doing it for myself than for someone else, and that's one of the main reasons why I think a lot of us have started companies. Is because we see problems to solve, and also, why are we going to do it for someone else if we can potentially do it for ourselves? Right,
exactly. And I think that, my story is a little bit different in terms of starting my business. I got fired from my last job, and I couldn't, and I don't think it was a matter of my skill set. I was working remotely for a company in New York, and I had to figure it out. Yeah. I couldn't find a job here. I didn't have a car right away. So like I had moved back from New York to here, and living in New York for 10 years, I did have to figure shit out. I had to kind of like make my way through the city and, find my job and, find out something very simple as like finding a nail salon. Like, that's like something that people don't think about. Like, oh, you moved to a big city, must be fun. I'm like, yeah, but you have to find like your new like routine. And as I got into business, I realized I was creating a job for myself, not a business. I was like, okay, I'm a freelancer. I'm gonna do this odd job and this odd job, and it's kind of like in the social media, web space, but there was never like a process. And over time, I've realized, learning and adjusting what would work for me. And after, how much trial and error working on things, I realized, this is what I'm born to do. Right. And that kind of translates into what I do outside of my work.
Yeah. And I feel like I've always been an entrepreneur because, for example, I'm just going to give like a brief history, but again, I've always been a martial artist somehow. And when I was 7, started Taekwondo, and and then like I just was like a yellow belt or something like that, which is like a degree up from a white belt, I believe, at that time. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start my own little Taekwondo club.
Mm-hmm.
When I was living here in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I had one student, and that was my friend, of course.
Your friends are always your first clients, right?
And then, of course, I wasn't getting paid. I was just doing it to teach, and then like little lemonade stands here and there. And then the real, somewhat like feeling of like really trying to start something was, have you ever seen the movie Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle?
No.
Never.
I'm not a movie person.
Well, it's a hilarious movie. It's funny. It's like one of those movies. If you smoke weed or not, like it's just one of those movies. And I don't smoke weed, but it's that type of movie. And so, anyways, I was 15. My friend Mike, that I just gave a shout out to. After we watched that movie, where we really wanted White Castle, but in Las Vegas there was no White Castle. Yeah. So we were like, oh, what the hell? Like, what are we gonna do? So I was like, well, why don't we just bring one down here? Like, just 15, not knowing what we're doing. But I ended up finding some land right by the Strip in Las Vegas, and it's gonna cost $2 million. And I was like, I didn't really understand the value of the dollar at that time. Too. Yeah, real estate as well.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, $2 million, like we'll have our parents fund it or something like that. And then I also contacted White Castle. And then my friend Mike was going to partner up with me, and he was 14 at that time, and because he's a year younger. And then unfortunately they don't franchise, or else we could have been. We could have been the first White Castle on the West Coast. And then eventually, and it was cool. I wish I would have saved the email, because the email that they gave back to me was inspiring somewhat, and. What it was is pretty much saying, oh, sorry, we don't franchise, but you did a lot of like due diligence on this, and we love what you did. And I told them that I was only 15 or again 16 at that time, and then they're like, keep that up, because you are going to go somewhere if you keep doing that. That's awesome. And then I was like, okay, that's that was awesome.
Well, that's really cool. I've never heard that story, so
and then
first time.
And
that's really cool.
Yeah, I wish I saved that email. It's probably somewhere in the archives. And then
look for it.
So then that's my first time. And then I've had about 4 other businesses besides Pixel Lift, my current business. My first business, or my first business was called Pet Chow. And what that was, it was like a pet feeder. That where you can feed your pet from anywhere in the world, as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection in your home. You can feed them through your phone. And there's also portion control, because there's a lot of overweight pets.
Right.
And then also one of the top 2 industries that never went down during the 2008 recession was the pet market.
Yeah.
And I was just like so surprised. So we're like, okay, we can do this. And this was back in like 2013, 14.
Yeah.
And then again, we didn't know the value of the dollar, and it's going to cost us $1.5 million to launch the business, to at least get 100 of our pet feeders out.
Yeah.
And that's even like getting manufacturing out in Taiwan. And we were working on this for like about almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And we were featured all over Las Vegas in the startup community, and we were featured to be like one of the top businesses. It was like really cool to get that. And then, but we couldn't find investors. So then
pivot.
Yeah, so we went through that, and then I've had a couple other small businesses from it.
So you have the entrepreneurial spirit, I think, in terms of creating products. I'm very I have the entrepreneurial spirit, but like more so in drive and like skill set. Like I love helping people set up businesses. I love figuring out like the back end, and that I think is one of my faults, but also strengths, because I almost didn't want to launch this podcast.
Yeah.
It had to I was like, oh, I don't think we're ready. And, I think that was one of the things that would have pushed me back, because I would have been like, no, like we don't have this ready. Like, our little technical difficulties, like normally that would like freak me out. And I'd be like, no, can't do this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I think you learn a lot when you're in business. And
you learn to survive and kind of like sink or swim kind of thing. And, you have to swim if you're in this dog eat dog world, you know.
And
like
but it doesn't have to be dog eat dog. I feel like I think it's changing a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, it's not. But it's rough starting out. It definitely is. Because trying to find clients or leads, especially in our type of work where we offer B2B services.
Yeah.
It's all about your network and who you know.
Yeah.
So, and there's so much competition already out there. It's like, how do you really stand out? And I think the best thing for me on like why I stand out more so than others is because I try to be fair.
Yeah.
Not even try, I am fair. It's like, for example, a client right now that I'm just about to land. We're signing a contract soon. And he added a little bit more work. And not that I'm trying to sell myself short here, but it's just I understand where startup founders come from because I'm in the same place as them. And it's funding. And can I have charged him some more money? Yeah.
Yeah.
But do I need to? No. I'm able to survive, and I'm able to do this project still within the time frame that's needed and execute it. And I'm not gonna slow down on this project just because he's not gonna pay me as much as I probably could charge him. And that wouldn't be fair to him, and that's not fair to me because it's my name and my face at the end of the day.
It's your reputation.
It's my brand, exactly. And reputation, yes.
You have to think about, and I think that one of the things that I've learned over business and hopefully that, we're going to bring to this podcast. So, is kind of just like what you've learned. I come across a lot of people that want to start businesses and they think it's easy because they're seeing someone's like year 4, like someone comes to me and they say, oh, like, how are you so comfortable on video? Or how are you, you're killing it. And like, in my opinion, like it's taken me a long time to get to that point and no one has seen the behind the scenes. Like
it's always like that.
Last year, I would never be on video. Like there's no way. Like, but it comes like as you learn and you just realize, okay, like no one gives a crap. Like,
and it's like people will like you for who you are at the end of the day. If my personality doesn't match yours, I mean, that's okay. Like I've learned to move on from that. I used to get bothered by things like that. People didn't like me because for XYZ reasons. It used to bother me sometimes. I was more immature when I was younger, of course, and wanting people to like me. But now it's just like, okay, like that's okay. People
and it's
don't
not
have
even
to like your business or what you do, and to go with someone else. Okay, you'll ask someone else that fits more so with you and your business.
Right, and I think that you find those people as you go through business. Like you will have people that won't mesh with you. You will have, I've tried collaborations before and like, it's like not properly communicating, not respecting each other's time and not really understanding the end goal. And I think that a lot of people, and I'm probably guilty of this, like have too many expectations, like straight up. And then it's a fault because then you're expecting certain things, especially in a business relationship or a collaboration, and you haven't properly communicated that or you haven't let go of those expectations. And then it messes up because you expect certain things and you shouldn't really expect anything.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to business, especially, and then, that translates into your personal stuff, like the stuff that I do outside of my business is like, I like love soccer and I'm like going to watch soccer all the time. I will watch any game that I can. I go to live games as much as possible.
She's a huge soccer fan, big time.
Yeah. See, these are like soccer teams, like right here.
I have no teams.
But you start realizing, okay, like I'm going to hang out with the people that like things that I like. And if it's soccer or they're open to learning about new things, like I want to go to your fight, but I also have a soccer event that day. So I'm going to try to do both, and to support him as a friend, as a business owner, as an MMA fighter. And, when you mesh with people, and we haven't worked on a project except for this yet together, but I imagine it will happen eventually.
I hope so, because especially my clients, they need marketing and
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
I need it too myself, big time.
Yeah.
And I always do try to promote you when I
Yeah.
have clients. It's just that for some reason, I don't know. It's just hard
Well,
to talk them into it.
my
and I want
my
them to see the
perspective
value.
Yeah, I think my perspective on what people think marketing is it's they think that it's sales, but marketing is supplement sales, right? Like supplements the sales. So you can't get a sale without marketing, and you can't market without sales, right?
Mhm.
So like they are very closely together, but if you don't differentiate what they are and you don't invest the time, then time and or money and or proper resources or strategy, then you're probably going to fail. And I think that just is, where I come from when it comes to business. Like I thought that I could just rely on my experience in digital marketing, which is about 12 years now, and get business without marketing. And I'm in marketing. So it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like I have to market myself. I have to put time. I have to treat myself as a client. And same with you. You have to do business development, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that when I started, because I was like, oh, I have my own business. No, I don't have my own business. I have the skill set, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I put that out there? And so that's one of the things that I've learned in my time of doing business, like not having a job. But I think now is like I'm much more confident in the business role, and like me being a founder and having a team, and it's not this huge team, but it's there, and I still have to be a founder. I have to be a business owner versus
wearing many hats.
Yeah, and balancing it properly. I think a lot of people, and hopefully we will get other people that are also in business that have learned things. They can share what they've learned, but also what they're passionate about.
And we can learn from each other. There's
Yeah.
always something to grab, I feel like. Even if it's not a business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if we interview an employee, you can learn from them. Like, what are their issues with the company that they work for? And then how do we not make those mistakes for people that we hire?
Right, exactly.
Right? Those are things. I mean, it's all valuable information because as a business owner, you want to make sure that you are having some kind of culture for your employees, and then also learning from directors or other founders, the ins and outs of their business, and finding out what mistakes they've done, and then how have they overcome those trials and errors.
Yeah, right. So I guess
and then,
you have a question for me?
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I want to know more so about analytics, like it's marketing and analytics, because I remember when we first met, you were talking about that, and like the algorithms that go, for example, into LinkedIn, because that's something I probably need to be more involved in. Is LinkedIn, and I didn't really know that that they would grab algorithms from certain keywords.
Yeah.
That's not something that they promote.
Yeah, right. No, they don't.
So the general public doesn't know that.
So that actually is a good question, because we want to also bring in not only business owners, but we want to showcase some of the stuff we do. And so we're not going to do that on this call, maybe another, or on this podcast, but maybe another episode, where I'm going to showcase what I would look at and kind of the process. And I think you can do that too. Because I think there's a lot of behind the scenes work that if you just, like I said before, if you just say social media marketing, what is that? And without being a client or having access to all the analytics and everything in the behind the scenes, in the business, it's hard to communicate that and showcase what your skill set is. So when it comes to analytics, I think, that first off, it starts with strategy. What are we measuring? What do you want to measure? What is your goal? And where do you start from there? And then we work backwards, and what are we looking at? So someone who is posting on social, they might look at their likes, their followers, their subscribers, whatever. But if you're not doing it consistently, you can't just judge it based on one post. So an example of analytics that I track or that I've invested my time in is LinkedIn. So my target clients usually are LinkedIn. They're B2B. They're decision makers, CEOs, startup founders, stuff like that. They're making those decisions and they're hanging out on LinkedIn. And so I'm doing a lot of my marketing on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to social media. And oh yeah, cool. Oh, we're doing double live on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hi everyone on Instagram.
Hello.
Oh, nice angle. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, you keep talking. I'll figure this out.
It's okay. That was okay.
Yeah, keep.
Oh, it's just you.
We're
both of
I'm
us.
selfish. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyways, so one of the things that I measure on LinkedIn is views on my videos. So I post a video every Wednesday, and I was tracking the views of those videos, and I'm posting, stuff that, tips on social video, why people should go to conferences, all these things, really quick videos, 3 minutes max. And then in addition to those videos, I'm also engaging with people in conversations outside of that. So it's not just, okay, I'm posting a video and then hoping that they go to my website and then they book a call and they pay me. That's not how it works. You have to build a relationship. Right. In the short term, in terms of explaining it, like that's just one aspect of analytics that you can check. You can check views on your videos. But a lot of people don't check that because they are looking at likes. Oh, I got 2 likes. Well, cool. Are those likes your target clients?
Yeah,
Are
correct.
you following up with them? Are they people that, I've had, a lot. Thank you to all the people that support me, all my friends that are not business owners, but they have encouraged me to keep going. But a lot of them are not the people that I need to reach, but they always will come to me when they have a question about social media, and maybe it's a good fit, maybe it's not. Like a story, my uncle just reached out to me yesterday or Sunday to talk about his friend who needs help. She's a massage therapist, she's in business, but she needs to get better and have more business. And she hadn't established anything on her website or her social, so she needs my help. And my uncle has known that I've been in business for 4 years, and it's the first time that he's actually given me a proper lead. But it might not work out because I don't know what her budget is or whatever. But it's just funny because you think that all this business is going to come to you right away, but it doesn't. No. Sometimes it takes
a while. Sometimes to land with the client because it's that feel out process too. Mm-hmm. At least from what I'm finding out is building that relationship, because that client wants to trust you, right? They're going to give you money, and they want to make sure that money is really going to be useful.
Right, exactly.
And you have to, I guess, just be who you are organically.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, those people will come to you. At least that's what I found for myself. I feel like I can adapt myself to a lot of people, and also any type of business owner that comes my way, and any type of product that comes my way. I've had enough experience in my field where I can adapt accordingly to any project.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I've worked with Snapchat to a one-man team business owner. So it really just.
And you know your limits, as a business owner, you know how much, you have all the other stuff, personal life, MMA, stuff you want to do outside of work. And you have to know, okay, what your limits are. And I think you learn that over time and just being really intentional with your time. So thank you for that question. It's a very loaded question, but
another question is, how do you build a relationship with your client? For example, if if one of these people down the hall, they hear about you through LinkedIn, not even a referral, because when it's through a referral, they trust you a little bit more, right? Because it's someone they trust that's referring you.
Where are you live on there? Is it your personal?
Widlowski and Marisa Cali. That's my other Instagram account if you guys want to give that a follow, or Pixel Lift.
We'll put it on the comments. So yeah.
Lyft, spell Lyft, like the rideshare company.
Look like picture in picture.
What's that TV show again? That were with the heads, Brady Bunch.
Oh yeah. Anyways, what were we saying?
That's a good name. So.
What were we saying?
How do you build a relationship with someone down the hall that's never heard of you?
Remember, we only have like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So
I want to know, how do you build that relationship?
How do you? So
briefly, how do you do that within
I think
30-second pitch?
Okay, so I think, in my opinion, it's a very simple, like, hello, how are you? What do you do? And like, it's a building relationship. Like, if you go straight in for the sale, like, okay, like, hi, how are you? Like, are you interested in social media strategy? Can you pay me right now?
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
That's a turnoff.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sure that, I mean, a lot of people hate LinkedIn for this, but like, you know, they go on LinkedIn and they're always wanting to sell you stuff. And it comes with, you know, time. I think a lot of people will fall for it in the beginning, but you build relationships by being yourself, just as if you were. I like to use the analogy of thinking about taking out all the tech that we have. Like, we're on YouTube right now, we're on Instagram, whatever. Taking out all the tech and just think about back in the days when people had businesses like the Main Street USA, right? Like, they walked down the street and some business owner said, hi, why don't you come in? And they're like, how are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing today? How's your day been? What's your weekend like? And maybe not that simple, like online, when you don't ask someone because you don't know them that personally, but you're building a relationship.
Right.
And someone is feeling comfortable with you. They trust you. They want to give you money. It's the same thing when it comes to doing business online. And I think that if you don't think of it like that, where you're building a relationship, it's not going to work for you. You can't take from everyone and not give back.
Right.
I think businesses are now forming that, or now being very like specific on that. Like, I feel like in the digital age, when it first started, like, everything was like a quick fix. Like, you saw all the, you know, get rich quick type ads and stuff like that, but it's not that anymore. You can't, because it's oversaturated with, you know, we are struggling, not struggling as business owners, but like, this is a new brand. So we have to build it organically. Same thing, but we have to build the relationships. Hopefully all the people that support us now will watch, but we hope to open that up to people outside of our network. Yeah. And that, I think, hopefully we'll get that across by being online, on video, seeing us talk, having you and I have conversations, and it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
tell me about your business.
Okay.
So what's your business name?
Okay.
You said you've been.
Did I say it about? I didn't say it already.
Honestly,
I don't think
recall.
I said it. Okay.
No.
So my business name is All the Social. I may have touched on it before, but All the Social. I started out doing like strictly like Facebook pages, you know, setting up Facebook pages, because it was like 4 years ago, and kind of just posting randomly on social, and not really understanding that, like, well, you know, I understood the tech side in terms of posting, but I also understood branding and like being recognizable. And then as the digital tech world and social media world grew into Instagram and do we have questions?
No.
Oh.
But it's my friend Pre-Rack.
Hi, Pre-Rack.
Love that guy. He's awesome.
Love you too.
Mm-hmm.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so like the industry changed, and so I realized, you know, it's not just like posting on social and then hoping that it works. It's a bigger picture. You have to kind of expand on just posting on social and just hoping that people come to your website because they saw a post on social. I mean, there's so many people that are doing it. So my business really focuses on establishing what your main goals are in terms of your business, how's your existing sales process, and then using social media to supplement those sales processes already existing. So when you get a lead, you know what you need to ask, and trying to communicate what you provide, what problems you solve, stuff like that, with your business specifically. But a lot of people that I work with, they're more like B2B businesses. So they're doing huge contracts or, huge deals with like other businesses, and they want to attract, like, for example, they want to attract a new graduate from an engineering school because they want top engineers. Now that 21, 22-year-old is going to Google that company and find out about the company before they even want to apply. Unless it's like some crazy well-known name like Qualcomm or whatever. But like if you're a company that's competing with Qualcomm for top engineers from, the local schools or whatever, you need to have a presence. You need to why do people want to work with you? Do you have community relations that are important? Like how people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. You don't have to talk about yourself. Talk about your employees. Talk about why someone should want to work there. And that's just one aspect. That's called employee advocacy. And one of the things that I advocate for some of my clientele. And some of the people, it's like a new product or new service that they offer, and they don't know how to attract the people. So they have to communicate what they do online consistently. And so that's kind of what I help with. So I start with research and, and strategy at the top. This is the bookend. Research and strategy, and then implementation. And that's like designing the content, writing the content. What does it look like? Blogs? Is it live YouTube? Is it, I've done webinars on Facebook. There's a lot of different ways to utilize what social media is and like all the tech tools, and then implementing it, and then an analysis. Analysis. I was trying to say both those words.
Analysis.
Analyzing what works, right? So like if I'm putting out a webinar for a client and hosting it, and we're getting all these engagement and stuff, let's do it again. It worked really well. Let's keep doing it. You can't just think that social media is just a post.
Right.
There's so many more things.
Which I think a lot of us think it's just a post.
Yeah. But it's the social media platforms.
Yeah.
And how can we leverage that? Are we using a group? Are we using a page? Is it webinars? Is it are we doing email marketing? Are we writing blogs to drive people to sign up for our email list? There's all these things, and these are all services that I offer, but it's very simple. It's very not simple. It's very easy to like write it off as something that's not important, because they just see, well, I don't want to post what pizza I had today.
Actually, I would like a pizza post.
No, what we really need is tacos.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. So that's a hashtag we're going to use. It's in the description. Talk, like TALK, to Taco Tuesday. So that's our little like hashtag that we're going to use for our Business AF podcast. And we obviously will talk more about your business, I think, next time, and talk about.
How dare you not let me?
Oh, you talked a lot. Whatever. No, you want to talk about your business? No, you talked about user interface and
a little bit. Yeah.
We have time. So anyways, if you know anyone that's a business owner or that wants to get to know a little bit more about UI, UX, as well as social media.
Mobile app development too.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Progressive web apps. You do progressive?
I do PW, or progressive web apps, PWAs, mobile
we'll
apps,
explain that.
web development, web apps.
Virtual reality. We do have a Facebook group, so go ahead and go to Facebook and type in Business AF, and you should be able to find the group. We'll put that in the comments as well, so you can check it out. You have something to say?
Yeah, just for people who may not know what AF stands for. So why is it called business? And then what is AF?
Yeah. Hi, hello, official writer. Let me see.
So,
go ahead. You can say it.
Okay, you want me to say it? So
yeah, I want you to say it.
I wanted you to say it. Okay. Here, I'll say the A part and you say the F part. How about that?
No.
So business AF, for those who don't know, AF stands for, means business as fuck.
Yes.
And again, like the reason why we chose that name is because, again, in the beginning we spoke about this, but it's because, you know, we're business people first, but then on the side, you know, we party, we play sports, we do all kinds of shit, you know, especially myself, you know, like I get into it sometimes. It's like fun activities, and you know, like I want, like, for example, like my clients, I don't want it to be just business, you know. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know who you are. Okay, like, yeah, I understand you are trying to start this tech company and whatever it may be, social media, real estate, travel. Okay, cool. Okay, but when you travel, if you have a travel company, what do you do on your time when you're traveling? Like, do you just like hanging out at the beach? Do you like going clubbing? Do you like going to TJ for who knows what? And
TJ! Then, we'll talk about that. That's me.
I was going to say, I know a lot of other stories.
Not my stories. Not my stories.
Her stories. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, just, I want to get to know these people outside of just, you know, outside of just business. And my friend Jeff, I'm glad he joined. I also told him I'd give him a shout out.
Jeff.
Jeff the Bullet.
Jeff the Bullet. Hey.
Yeah, his IG name's Jeff the Bullet. Also, he's fighting September 5th. He's a professional MMA fighter. Great dude. I've known him for 8 years, and he himself, actually, I'd like to bring him on one day because he owns man, I've seen this guy like hustle.
All right, let's not get off topic. We'll talk about it. Hi, Jeff. Don't mean to talk to him. I want to save our friends and stuff for the next episode. So I just posted on the comments on our Instagram, Business AF Podcast. Go ahead and follow it. It's an Instagram we're still building out, so bear with us.
We'll get a profile picture up soon.
Yeah, it's kind of like how business is, you know, like Chris was really helpful in terms of allowing me to like not stress out too much about every single little detail, because I feel like that wouldn't have launched this podcast. And I think
well, I talked to you about like the agile process.
Yeah,
right. It's what we use in the tech industry.
And I'm very familiar with it. And it's just helped me relieve stress and not have too many expectations, because this podcast wouldn't have gone live if it was just me, probably. So I'm happy to be here, and hopefully you guys will join us for the next one. We're gonna go live. Our plan is to go live every Tuesday. You know, Taco Tuesdays. But business gets in the way sometimes. But our goal is to do that. So hopefully you'll join us and share it, and invite other people, and hopefully and maybe by episode 3 or 4 we'll have
our first guest.
Yeah.
We gotta see.
And they don't need to be here. We can
remotely.
We can have them remotely. So if you're interested, let us know. We will send you all the information on how to get on our podcast. And you have anything else you want to share?
Just want to, you know,
subscribe.
Subscribe to our Business AF podcast on YouTube.
Yes.
Business AF podcast on Instagram. You know, give that a follow. Also, my personal Instagram account for my business is pixel.lift.
We'll put that in the description, but I think just by default, Business AF Podcast, and we'll share everything of our businesses there.
Sounds good.
It's easier.
And thank you everyone who tuned in, and also for those who will be watching later. You know, we appreciate that very much and your support. So
let me try it. Anyways, thank you again, and go ahead and hit subscribe like we would love for you, and share it with your friends. Thank you to all my friends who are tuning in live and maybe watching the replay. So we will see you next week. And you want to play the song?
Okay. watching on YouTube. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.